Steve, you have grown up around NASCAR your entire life. Have you ever felt an aura or seen a backdrop like what we're seeing here?
Rick, I can't believe this is real. It is so real. We are standing inside a world-class 12-turn road course that's set up in the middle of Chicago.
You know, we talk about that each weekend in NASCAR racing is an event. Yeah. Now, this has gone to another level.
Yeah, I agree. It's a significant event. You just look at all the people wandering through, all the different faces. Everyone's coming to see what's going on with this spectacle called NASCAR. A lot of these folks have never even seen a NASCAR race, and that is great to have all these new eyeballs on our sport. So excited to be here. It's a great opportunity for our sport.
The cars about ready to fire the engines for the first time ever in NASCAR's history. 75 years of racing, and this has never happened. They're about to race on a street course.
And if you feel the anxiety, so don't the competitors, right? The street course was enough, but as a former crew chief, this was always the most pressure-packed time I can't imagine.
all smiles now on the faces as everyone here in Chicago knows what is about to happen.
Drivers, start your engines! Let's go!
NASCAR is racing in the streets of Chicago down the front stretch to come for the first time.
Live from iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Podium's exclusive coverage of the 2024 eRacing Association Omega Cup SpringBowl. And welcome into the ERA pre-race show as we are getting set for a fourth trip around the calendar back here in Daytona. And as always, happy that we're a part of your Wednesday night plans. Alongside myself, Evan Pasoko, happy to be joined as always by Jesse Wuji and Kyle Wissner up in the booth. Our producer downstairs is Ryan Bauer. And Jesse, I'll toss to you first on this one because we've been racing in this Omega Cup now since 2020, but no track has been on the calendar as many times as this one. Daytona is the perennial home of this SpringBowl, and it really feels like the start of a new racing season when we're back here.
It definitely does, and Daytona is the world center of racing. So much excitement when you come to this track, especially just with the history behind it, not only in the real world, but also in the virtual world. Everyone knows that we've had Daytona going on for every single year that the eRacing Association has been going. And the races that we've seen, the winners that we've seen, you don't know who's going to win. It's not like we go into the race like sometimes like with the road courses or some of the other tracks where hey, these 2, 3, 4 folks right here, they probably have the best shot to win. When we go to Daytona, it doesn't matter what that skill level is, doesn't matter what that experience is, anybody can win. And that's what makes it super exciting for racing in the Omega Cup when we're racing at Daytona. We got a lot of great drivers who came into this race, like hundreds of folks who jumped in, who wanted to compete to get into here. 50 made it to the main event, but only 40 get to race tonight. We're going to watch these 40 battle it out, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm looking forward to seeing a very, very exciting event. And when it's all said and done, we're going to have a winner who's going to go home. Well, they're already home with $4,000 cash. It's not an IOU. It's not a gift card. It's not product. It is actual cash. And on top of that, we actually got a nice surprise for our top 5 as well. They are going to be getting some brand new shoes from Goodyear Footwear. It's going to be amazing. They're going to be super pumped. And tonight will be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, a lot on the line. I mean, you talk about $5,000 overall purse, $4,000 to the winner, and then Goodyear Footwear coming on as the official sim shoe of the Omega Cup, going to go to the drivers in the top 5. I don't think they needed any extra incentive, Kyle, but there it is, right? The beautiful thing about this Daytona International Speedway, to Jesse's point, is anybody could win here. And we'll meet some of the drivers who will be competing on this 2.5-mile super speedway in just a few moments. But this really is the birthplace of NASCAR. It is the home of NASCAR early February through the speed weeks, and that's been here on the sim as well. There's been some big races here at Daytona all week long on the surface, the iRacing Daytona 500 included, but none of them paid $5,000 in the purse, and that's exactly what we've got tonight.
This is super speedway racing at its best. It's pack racing. This track is absolutely phenomenal, and the energy that you get coming off of the cars while you're standing on the sidelines is unlike anything you will ever experience in your life. And the key here is the fact that you've got to work with people. You can't just do it by yourself, right? Drafting is a major part of every bit of this racetrack, but at the end of the day, it comes down to who makes the right move to get up front to win that big prize. Now, those Goodyear shoes, they're amazing shoes, and I think everybody's gonna love putting them on and jumping onto their sim with them. But at the end of the day, it's that big prize that everybody's going for.
That is the goal. More than $65,000 in total prize money has been given away over the course of the 13 previous Omega Cup events, and another $5,000 on the line tonight. Tonight's race, 60 laps. It'll be 150 miles, start to finish. Admittedly, though, it could be 60 or 160. You can't win at lap 1. You got to be in the game at the end. We will have 3 green-white checker attempts if needed at the end of the race, and there also is 1 fast repair available to drivers who get some damage over the course of the race. Fixed setup, I think, is another huge takeaway, Jesse. You can see so many people on the sim put in hours and hours of time on setups. Not the case here. It is an equal playing field from driver 1 through 40.
It definitely is, and that's what I love about our events that we put on. We make it as even as possible because we know a lot of different skill levels come into this race. We got drivers that come in here who race in different professional series in the sim world, like the NASCAR Coke Series, and we have drivers who maybe have just only been on the server for maybe a year or so, right? So we have all different kind of skill and talent levels coming in, and we definitely don't want to put these drivers in a situation where maybe they have the best setups possible, and that's what's helping them win. We want to make it an even playing field so drivers can come in, they know that, hey, they're racing against the same exact car right next to them. All 40 cars in the field are the identical same cars. Now it's up to the drivers to use their skills, their brains, and their strategy to come basically give themselves a shot to win this race.
Well, I mentioned we would meet some of the drivers who will be competing in tonight's race. You're taking a live look in at the warm-up session. Qualifying has ended. Let's talk with the driver of the 6 car. Cody Niegels was the fastest car in practice. Cody, you get a top 10 spot in the qualifying session. I see you doing some drafted practice right now. How are things looking?
The car feels fast. Got a lot of practice time in with the teammates at Dale Cup, and I think we're feeling pretty confident going into this one. We got a serious shot.
60-lap race. It's kind of a dual race length, or a sprint race, if you will. 1 pit stop cycled in there. How does that affect the strategy, knowing that you've got some familiar faces in the field? Can you guys work together? What's the game plan?
I think the game plan, more so than what you probably seen with NIS, is you've got to be more aggressive. Can't really lay back. If you can get track position early, I think it's going to be key, because I believe there's only one pit stop. So hopefully we can get that under green and get the field stretched out a little bit and get numbers in our favor.
Well, you're starting from P8. Is the strategy going to be stay competitive, race up front all night, or is this one long enough that you consider hanging back and staying out of trouble?
Oh, I'm going to throw it all out there and show them what I got. I'm going to hopefully get up front and stay up front and stay out of the big one.
Well, we're looking forward to that one, Cody. Thanks for the time and good luck.
Appreciate it.
That's Cody Niegels, who will start from the number 8 position in this race, guys, but he's got a good car. He was fastest in practice earlier, so look for that car to be a threat over the course of tonight's race. Jesse, I'll toss things over to you. Larry McDonald is the driver that you're standing by with. Larry's going to be starting tonight's race as he tries to fight for the $4,000 grand prize. He'll be finding himself back in the pack in P35.
Mr. Larry. Mr. Larry, how's it going? I mean, you're here racing in the eRacing Association Omega Cup Series SpringBowl here at Daytona International Speedway virtually on iRacing. So, how are you feeling tonight? I mean, I see you in that beautiful car. How's everything going? Where's your mental at? What are you thinking about going into this very, very tough race?
I mean, I feel good. Thanks for the compliment on the car. I expected I would have qualified better, to be honest with you, but I just got to shake it off. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, these are some of the best, and it should be fun. Hopefully, we can get a lot of green and caution-free laps, and have a good race.
Yeah, everybody's looking forward to something like that, but it's Daytona. Everybody gets antsy. Things happen. People start pushing. People start making aggressive moves. Wrecks start happening. I mean, how important is strategy in this race? Because you have to come in with some type of plan, and usually at some point in the race, that plan sometimes just gets thrown out of the window.
Exactly, and I think the biggest thing for me is I asked my good friend William Price to spot for me, and he's been huge in the previous races he's done that, and I think that's going to be critical because he'll be able to take a lot of the stress off me and just keep me calm and just keep me focused, and hopefully we can get this car to the front.
And as you work to get in the front, let's say at the end of the race you end up winning this race. If you win this race, that's $4,000 going into your pocket. What would money like that do for you?
Oh, I mean, it would be big. I was telling the wife, we could go on vacation, go away for the weekend and, then get back at the grind. And, I know we got Road America coming up in May and, it's like it never stops,
Most definitely. Well, hopefully you can get up front. Hopefully you can win that money, and hopefully you can take that wife on a beautiful vacation. So anything can happen. You're here at Daytona. You're here in the Omega Cup with eRacing Association. So many things can happen. You can have a good day. You can have a bad day. But at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. So good luck to you, and hopefully all goes well.
Thank you. And thanks for putting the race on, guys.
Well, that is Larry McDonald, who's going to be rolling off from the field in 35th position. And Kyle, I'll toss things over to you because you're standing by with Braden Black, who's back there near Larry. They may end up working together in this one.
Braden, the cowboy hat and everything. You've got the exact look to make this happen. So tell us, what is your history on this iRacing? What brought you to this point? And now that you're here, what is your plan for today's race?
So I've been racing for about, I'd say, 3.5 years on the sim. Like my iRating's not, I wouldn't say to the par of these guys in these races, but you know what? I'm gonna give them my all, and I'm gonna go try to win this 4K.
So what's your plan for the race? You gonna sit back, wait for everybody to wreck, move your way through, or are you gonna go straight to the front and stay up front?
You know what? That's a good thing about me starting in the back. I think. I mean, obviously, I was getting nervous there on the line. I was like, oh no, am I going to get top 40? But we ended up getting it. So my strategy, I'm not sure yet. We'll just have to play it by ear as the race goes. And yeah.
Yeah. One of the things about qualifying for these races is that it's so close. So even just making it into the show is an accomplishment on itself. I mean, it's down to the 10th from second place down to 30th place. So good job on making the show. Be there at the end. And thanks for being a part of everything. Tell me, what would you do if you win the prize money for today's race?
Well, I'm still in school. I'm only 17 years old, so I'm going to probably use it towards a car, to be honest.
That is awesome.
I sold my car, so I'm looking for something else, so that would definitely help.
So use the money that you win from virtual racing to get back behind the wheel of an actual car.
Sir.
Fantastic.
And, last thing here, I'm gonna put the pedal to the metal until I see God or the checkered flag.
That's awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Good shit.
Well, he's got the Daytona 500 flag behind him on the wall, so he's going to be looking for a little bit of the Daytona magic in this one. Big thanks to all of our drivers for chatting with us. That was Cody Neagles, Larry McDonald, and Braden Black. And what that's going to do is do it for us with the ERA pre-race show. We are about ready to drop the green flag on the first race of the 2024 calendar. So let's go trackside and get opening ceremonies underway, starting with Jared Ashley performing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now for the command of fire engines, please welcome former WWE superstar Ted DiBiase Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, sizes, backgrounds, Ted DiBiase Jr. here, former WWE superstar, coming at you tonight, coming in hot, and it is my honor to get this party started tonight. I'm ready to see who's gonna take home the money. So, without further ado, drivers, start your engines!
And with that, let's go trackside and take a look at your starting grid tonight from Daytona. Pole position belongs to Kevin Freese with a 49.367 and will be on the front row alongside Steven Korosek in second. And then another big name. How about Garrett Maines, a 2022 Fall Bowl winner at Irwindale, starts third. He's alongside our defending winner for the Winter Bowl at Phoenix. That's Matt Busa, a couple of eNASCAR names on row number 2. Ray Rittenauer will start from fifth. He's been driving super speedways on the service for more than a decade, and he'll be inside row number 3 alongside the 33 car of Austin Green, who starts from P6. Jacob Schneider and Cody Niegels, who we talked to earlier, will start in 7th and 8th position, and they will make up row number 4. Back on row number 5, in number 9 spot, it is Zachary Lima driving the 30 car, and the 04 of Matthew T. Lee starting in 10th. Back on row number 6, it's Garrett Conrad starting 11th position, and Matthew G. Baker in 12th. P13 tonight goes to Michael Sturgill. He'll be joined by Jun-Sun Lim on row number 7 in 14th position. Logan Clampett has won a big race or two, but he is yet to win an Omega Cup. He starts from 15th spot, and David Sheets going to be alongside in 16th. Sean Conklin will start from the number 17 spot tonight ahead of Jordy Lopez. More of the eNASCAR talent in the field. They make up row number 9. And on row number 10, the 21 of Patrick Gitter will start 19th, and Malik Ray will start in the number 20 spot. Somebody else who's won a lot of big money races, but is looking to win one of these on a Wednesday night. The rest of the starting grid will continue to scroll through at the bottom of your screen. All these drivers notable, but some highlights include Vicente Salas rolling from the number 26 spot. Of course, we just talked not that long ago with both Braden Black, who's starting in 32nd, Larry McDonald, who is starting in 35th. And of course, we continue on through Andre Castro in the mix. A lot of these drivers all taking times in qualifying because they had to make the show, Jesse. That was one of the points that you touched on, the fact that you still got to race and qualify your way into this feature. Without that, I'm sure some drivers would have opted to not take times and qualify, start to the rear. Everybody's seated based on times because of that.
Well, it's just crazy to look at these qualifying times. I mean, my jaw's like just dropped watching. I mean, if you look at the entire field is separated by, what, 0.05, 0.06, something like that? I mean, if I do the math, but I mean, that's not much. I mean, like less than a tenth of a second, the entire 40-car field is spread. I mean, that is just absolutely crazy. And that just shows you the level of talent and skill that is coming into these events. It's unreal. I mean, these drivers are really, really good at sim racing. And we have some real-life racers in here, people who race late models, ARCA, even NASCAR Xfinity Series with Andre Castro. So it's really cool. Now we got these in-car feeds, actually in-house feeds, watching some of these drivers do their thing and looking at their expressions on their faces. I mean, some of these guys are really focused, some of them are super chill, some of them get angry, you name it, but it's really cool to just watch this and just see how much this has progressed. We're going to be coming to green pretty soon. Things are about to get wild, and I am here for it.
And I don't think it can be understated, Kyle, how big it is that we're talking about a $5,000 purse for one race. Once upon a time, that was half the payout for the top series on the iRacing service. This is a big race, whether you are a regular here in the Omega Cups, if you're a NASCAR Xfinity driver, a eNASCAR Coca-Cola driver, or somebody who's racing with us for the first time by signing up for an ERA membership. This is a big money race. Every single driver has a chance, and every single driver thinks they can win it.
And that's the thing. It's 2.5 miles around this racetrack, and one bobble, one slight mistake, that's the difference between making the show and not making the show. Now, do that lap after lap after lap, and that's what it takes to be up front at the end. Every little bit counts. And here we get ready to go to green, so I'm going to let you call it.
Pace car off it in. Kevin Freese is in control. Let's go racing at Daytona.
And these drivers are dicing it up already. They're moving around quite a bit, and it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, they're doing it, and they're doing it well. They're doing it clean. People aren't getting too rowdy yet, even though I saw a little bit of pushing in the corner. But they are mixing it up. I mean, already going 3 wide in the middle of the field. Some people running the high line. Some people are running that second lane. Some people on the bottom. I mean, they're like, hey, let's get after it immediately.
Well, I like to call super speedway racing piloting. You get short track stuff, that's driving the car, but when you get into this situation, it's literally piloting. You got your foot on the floor, on the gas, you're using that draft to get you sucked up to that car in front of you, and then once you get too close to that, you might scrub the brake just a little bit to stay off of the person in front of you. Now, towards the end of this race, people are going to be pushing and shoving because that's the only way you can get particular lines to move forward. Right now, everybody's being really nice and calm. They're taking their time. It's a long race to go.
And Kyle, you know what? You actually bring up a good point there when it comes to this super speedway racing. We get this amazing camera angle just to see how much these cars are moving around for everybody out there watching this. And they say, oh, you know, NASCAR, you just turn left and it's real easy. It's not. Watch how these cars at almost 200 miles per hour are moving around on the track as they start, as they try to find their place in line. They try to find their place in the circle of life. But Kyle, I was bringing it up. You mentioned dragging the brake, right? People think, okay, when you got to get off the other car, when you're trying to back up so you don't hit them. But people think you just lift, and that's just not what you do. You have to drag the brake because when you lift, you end up losing momentum, and that could cause you to lose the draft or have everyone behind you in line check up. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's about RPM, right? You got to keep that motor at top RPM, and as soon as you let off, you lose that momentum because that RPM is dropping, and it takes time to get back up to it. So instead, you keep that foot planted on that gas pedal, and then you just drag that brake just to slow down that momentum so you don't run through. Oh,
we have the first one.
Oh,
It was on the backstretch.
Wow.
All of them are taking the bus stop at 150 miles an hour. Conklin is one of the drivers involved. Looks like Doherty also there. You see Kyler Wynn has screeched to a halt, and it is an early yellow for a start, guys, that wasn't too crazy, right? There was a little bit of 3 wide, but not a ton of it, and it's all it takes, just a little bit of discombobulation. I don't know if the 54 was trying to go high, but Conklin somehow ended up moving up into the 43. They kind of just met each other. Watch those two off of 2.
Yeah, I watched to see what happened here. Oh, yeah, he just wasn't clear. He wasn't clear. He got up a little bit. He's moving around. Once again, these cars are moving around. All the air that's happening, all the dirty air, that turbulence happening in the middle of that pack when you start getting into that point, it moves these cars around, and people are trying to find their way, and just all it takes is that little bit of a wobble. You get into somebody, and then that's it. I mean, these cars are very sensitive at these high speeds. You can't just get up into people. Now, on a short track, you can bump like that, and you'll be completely fine. You can save the car. But at, almost 200 miles per hour, maybe 200, it's not going to work.
Well, think about it when you're traveling down the highway at 75 miles per hour and you pass a big 18-wheeler. When you pass it, the air buffering off that 18-wheeler will first try to suck you into it, and then by the time you get to the front of it, it'll try to push you out because the weight coming off of that 18-wheeler, it's almost like a boat wake, right? When you're traveling on a boat through the water. So what we saw here is cars going 3 wide. The guy in the center was literally pulling the guy on the bottom line up. So you think, oh, he just moved up there. He turned his wheel up there. Well, no, that was the air sucking them up into each other, and they didn't react in time, and this is the consequence.
Well, you know what? They are in Florida, the land where 18-wheelers go about 90 miles per hour on a highway. So it might be a little bit different.
Can confirm. Yeah. About half the speed of this, but still pretty good. And I was going to say, for all things considered, for Daytona, that probably could have been a lot worse. There was kind of a secondary pack that had trailed off of the leaders a little bit that came in pretty hot, and unfortunately, I think it might have been Larry McDonald, who we were talking to earlier in the McDonald's machine, fittingly, who got a little bit of damage late there. But I saw that second pack of cars coming, and I thought for sure we were going to wad up another half a dozen, and that was not the case. And you can see the little bit of front-end damage on that Ford Mustang that the 80 car is going to get repaired. A couple of cars down pit road, in fact, about a dozen total. Again, most of them for some minor damage repair. Some cars down pit road not needing damage repair. The race length in this one is interesting because it puts you kind of just outside of that one-stop window, but If we get a couple of yellows early, you may see some drivers come down, get fuel, and then try to make it to that number. I know, Jesse, that fuel conversation, different context, but even here at a place like Daytona, over the course of the weekend in the Daytona 500, fuel was a conversation all night long. And even though this is a sprint race, it is still going to be at the forefront of these drivers' minds. Some of the guys we talked to pre-race referenced, they've got a live spotter or a live crew chief in the sim with them. So those guys are crunching the numbers and relaying to their driver what they need to do.
Everybody's got a little napkin with them, and they're writing down the numbers. Like, okay, if I have this much fuel, then how long can I go, right? And we start throwing these cautions in. That affects your fuel strategy as well. If we went green the entire time, your fuel strategy is one way. You start going green for, let's say, 2-3 laps, and then yellow, then 2-3 laps and yellow. All of a sudden, that changes everything. So, yeah, these drivers are going to be having to do this complex math problem, right, to see exactly what's going to happen. That's the cool thing about sim racing. It's not a video game. It's not just, plug it in and just go and just whatever happens. There is real strategy, real calculations, real math, real engineering. I mean, this is it's iRacing and it's a virtual reality simulator, but it also is really a STEM type project, right? I mean, there's a lot of STEM in this. You got science, technology, engineering, math, all that goes into it to be a racer on here, and you apply the same things to real life as well. That's why I love being on here. That's why we love putting on these events.
Well, the driver's using a brief opportunity to kind of take a breath, stretch it out, and get set to go again. We talk about how open-ended the sim is, and Kyle, just from these angles alone, you can see how different everybody's at-home setup is. It can be just a entry-level wheel and a pedal set and a single monitor, or you can kind of go what we're seeing in the top left. You get a Formula-style rim, the RGB, the LEDs, looks like triple monitors there as well. There are so many different variants of how you can set it up. You got the stock car wheel right down the middle there. Now, I'll tell you, all these setups will pair best with Goodyear sim racing shoes. But aside from that, everybody can kind of customize their setups accordingly. That's one of my favorite things about the sim.
Well, and that's the thing about the fixed setup with the stock cars, right? Like, everybody has the exact same setup in the car that they have, but the wheel and pedals do make a difference in how you tune them and how you adjust them. And these guys who've been doing this a very long time, they take every little bit to be able to get it adjusted to the right fit and feel. But I've seen guys on entry-level wheels go out there and win races, and as well as guys who spend quite a bit of money on all the different perks and whatnot. But a lot of times, that also is just about immersion in comparison to actually gaining you speed. But the more it feels real, and a lot of times, the better off you're going to do.
Restart coming up this time. Still 53 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. It is up front, race leader for Kevin Freese.
Oh, we got a nice little bump from the 27 to the 25 up front, but he kept it together. It looks like a little bit more bumping right behind him. It's not a smart idea to bump in those corners, though, so they really got to be careful. When you start bumping in the corners, that's when you get people loose. When they get loose, especially on here, they overcorrect, and you cause the big one. So staying off of each other in the corners is definitely something you got to think about. Ooh, they still move around a little bit in the middle of the field.
And to that point, in the tri-oval as well, a lot of folks think because it's not the actual 31-degree bank turn and that you're in the tri-oval that the car's not going to unweight. But it does. You're still turning that wheel, and every time you turn that wheel and you get that bump, it's a chance for that car to come around on you.
It's actually worse in the tri-oval, honestly, because you don't have that banking to help you. When you're going through the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 at Daytona, you have so much downforce, so much compression happening, so you have a bit more grip with the car. But when you're going through the tri-oval, you don't have all that, so it does get a lot more loose in there if you're pushing.
One car just got sped out of line down the back straightaway. That might have been Malik Ray or somebody else. No, it was Ray Rittenauer who got spit out of line. No yellow, we stay green. He keeps it going, but that was simply just the physical contact of pushing one another that spit that car out of line, and it's a tough break for him. On the outside, Garrett Maines all over the bumper of the 33 of Austin Green, pushing on the outside line. That top side's got about a 4-car length advantage off into one as you look off at the back of your race leader.
Now, one of the things to think about is each one of these manufacturers has a different bumper. right? So those front and rear bumpers don't always match up. Now, a lot of times manufacturers will try to get their front and rear bumpers to match up so that they can team up and run in line. But if you get up there and you hit just in the wrong spot, specifically on that right-hand side where you see that number 7 right there, that's where things can get really dicey, and that car in front of you is going to go for a ride.
There's the onboard look with Matthew Baker. You've got the live in-sim in home.
Nice move.
Right, yeah, big swing to the inside up the road. That was the 6 car. Cody Neagles going to the bottom, and now the 62.
Another one.
Matt Busa sees the speed on the bottom, and he wants to go. So now Neagles going to push Busa, and they're going to try to give that top side a run for their money. Now there's another car up the road, Larry McDonald. I was going to say that was about to get real tight, but the 80 car dives down to the apron, will yield to the leaders who go into turns 3 and 4.
Oh, I saw that coming. I saw that coming, and I did not want to call it, but I saw it coming. So, that's tough, and I feel for him. He was carrying a lot of speed, that the lone car that the whole pack was coming up on. But what happens is, if you're carrying all that speed on the apron, you do not have the same level of banking on the apron as you do on the track. So obviously you're going to push up into the track, and that's what ended up happening. Got into the grass a little bit, pushes up here, all of a sudden gets right up into another car and takes him out. That is, oh my goodness, people are going to be upset about that one.
And I was literally just going to say what a class act for getting down and getting out of the way of the pack, but he just misjudged how much speed he was carrying down on the apron, and that's a lot of cars to take out. Luckily, there's a quick repair, but that's a quick repair that they can't use later.
And I think it's worth noting, I don't know if we can get a replay of the 9. I think they were crashing anyways. I think this happens concurrently. The 80 car has his own issue, right? Over speeds on the apron, but watch the 9 car anyways. When they go into 3, they're already wrecking. Watch the top side. Larry McDonald excluded on the bottom, right? When they come back around, this outside lane is going to start to kind of compress itself when they come back around into turn number 3, and it just starts to check everybody up. And when that happens, Conrath is going to get spit out of line by the 30. It would not have been as big of an accident as it ended up being, but there would have still been a wreck no matter what. I know that is only so much consolation for the drivers involved in the big one, but watch this develop, right? We're looking for the 80 car up the road. He's going to get low. We think that means we're home free. His wreck's going to start with the cars on the bottom. Ignore that wreck. Just watch the top side here. It happens at the same time. They start to check up a little bit, and when they start wrecking below, they're already spinning top.
They are.
No matter what.
You're right. You're absolutely correct. So a wreck was going to happen no matter what. So everybody who just got wrecked right there, please don't be mad. You're going to be wrecked anyways, no matter what.
Well, and how
that gets turned in front of the crowd like that, probably not going to end well for the cars behind, no matter what.
And how many of them were also paying attention to everything that was going on there and not paying attention to staying in line where they needed to be?
Yeah. Everybody's eyes were everywhere. They're trying to avoid wrecks from all different ways. You got one loner on the apron taking everybody out. You got some people on the top side getting a little bit loose, getting sideways, getting turned up into the fence. I mean, so much was happening, and that's why they call it the eye of the storm. Right there in the middle of the pack at super speedways, it is the eye of the storm. So much is happening, so much turbulence, so much movement. People trying to advance their way up forward. It's just a crazy mess in the middle, and we saw it. We saw it right here.
So 2 yellows early in this one. We'll take a quick opportunity to step aside. Right now, it's Matt Busa, your race leader. You're watching our special coverage of the Omega Cup SpringBowl at Daytona. And back live at iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway, getting ready for a restart. Two quick yellows in this Omega Cup SpringBowl. Has a little bit of pit strategy entering the conversation. Almost about 30-something cars came down and pitted under this most recent yellow flag. They'll line up from 9th on back in May. Be good to go on fuel to the end. The top 8 cars stay out. It means Matt Busa is in control of the field. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway. Caution just as quickly behind, right in the midst of the cars who had just come down pit road. And I think they checked up going through the restart box, and it was a messy accordion that kicked the 71 car into the outside wall, guys. I think that started by Daryl Young, and it's not that Daryl Young was the guy who did something wrong. Just all it takes is for one car to check up, and you'll see that accordion, and he ends up in the outside wall, and a couple others pile in.
I wonder if it was a misshift. I mean, these drivers, they're not. Some of them are using paddle shifts on their steering wheel, which I think is cheating. But some of them are also using H patterns, and every once in a while you can make a mistake. Going from second to third, accidentally go into first, or go into maybe fifth, and it not do anything. So who knows? Maybe it was a misshift. Who knows what happened?
Yeah, it definitely looks like the according effect of some sort, but every time we cut to a shot, it's literally the car just out of frame. No matter how far you go, that's stacking it up. So I'm not sure how far forward it was that people were starting to get into each other, but as you see from here, I mean, there's nothing you can do. Everybody's getting on the gas to go, but the line doesn't go.
That one a lot less severe than the accident we just had prior. That one's going to be a little bit of damage here, a little bit there. Maybe a little bit more severe damage on Young, who was the car who got turned into the outside wall, but certainly not a big pileup like we had previously, which brings up a good point, because during the side-by-side, we were talking amongst ourselves about what Larry McDonald's strategy was, right? The 80 car was involved in the first accident, and now he's been involved in 2, and he's got a clean car. Well, how's that, right? They have the quick repair, but you are not obligated to use that quick repair when you have any damage. And it's a point that we bring up often on these, Jesse, is that if you get minor damage, don't quote-unquote burn your quick repair by getting a completely new car. Actually sit in the box, let the sim work on it, deal with a bit of a damaged car, and keep that quick fix in your back pocket. Now, if Larry had taken his quick fix after the first yellow of the night, well, that big pileup would have ended his night. Instead, he's got a clean race car. He's still got a shot. The mulligan is now gone, but that is good asset management, I would say, saving that quick repair. So if you're a driver with minor damage, I would not rush to pit road to burn it. I would get some of the damage fixed, try to deal with it, and then use it later on.
Exactly, and depending on the track that you're at, whether it's super speedway, intermediate track, road course, short tracks, some tracks are very friendly to damage where you're still okay, and some tracks are not. Here at Daytona, it just depends. If it's something that was a lot where it's really going to affect your speed, you just might have to use it early. But if it's not that much, you're like, hey, it might be a little bit slower, but I'm not going to be that much slower. And as long as I just stay on the bumper of the person in front of me, then you'll be able to keep up. As long as it's like that, then just, don't burn it. You got to have some strategy. You have to understand, even though it's a 60-lap race, it's somewhat of a long race. You got to just be smart, because more wrecks are going to happen, more damages are going to happen. You might just need to save it till the very last second. Be like, okay, now I got to use it because there's no way I'm going to keep up with the pack.
And if you got just enough damage to stay out there and keep going, because there's going to be another wreck and another caution's going to come out. But it's at the end of the race when you need to have that completely clean car. Aero is so vital and important on the super speedways, especially with these fixed setup style racing. So you don't have the differences in motor horsepower or suspension setup. So aero is absolutely key. Now, where that damage is, that can be a difference on how extreme of effect it's going to have. But anything on that front nose, anything that affects that rear spoiler, anything that affects the side force on the rear quarter panels, that's all going to make your car have more drag and pull you back. But when you need that clean car is when you're getting for 5 to go, 2 to go. When you're racing for that win, you need to have it as slick as possible to get up there to the front.
Every single yellow flag so far in tonight's race, we have had drivers come down for fuel. That fuel conversation seems to be at the forefront of everybody's mind, and the field is now on about 4 to 5 different strategies. And that's possible even though we've only had 3 yellows, because some of them pit when pit road opens, and then others have always come in at the end to top off. We just had about a half a dozen cars come in at the one to go there when the lights went on top of the pace car to come down and get more fuel. So more than half of the field pitted under this yellow. They are hoping that will give them the fuel necessary to go, what'll be 42 laps to go when we take the green flag to the end of this race. Then there's a group of cars who pitted about 5 laps ago. They're going to have to save a little bit more. I don't see the likes of Conklin, who's been out there for 12, Schneider, who's been out there for 18, being able to go, right? 18 for Schneider, meaning he's the only car who is yet to pit in this race. The yellows, Jesse, certainly do give these drivers an opportunity to save some additional fuel, so maybe they feel like they can stretch it.
Yeah, everyone's going to have a different strategy. Everybody has something that they're holding close to their vest. These drivers, they're a little bit tricky. Some of these folks, will act one way, do one thing, say one thing. Some of them are talking to each other on here. They're all friends. They're all cool. And they're saying, yeah, I'll probably pit around then some. I'll probably do this. I'll probably do that. But everybody has something up their sleeve. So you just can't trust everybody. Drivers aren't the most honest people, especially in competition.
Now let's talk about fuel making it to the end is one part of it. Another part of it is how much fuel you have in that tank is how much weight you have in that race car. The more fuel you have in the rear of that race car, the lower that spoiler is going to set, but the heavier the car is going to be. The less fuel you have in it, the lighter the car is going to be, the more that spoiler is going to sit up. So it also plays a difference on how fast that car is depending on how much fuel you have in it.
And don't forget about those overtimes that we talked about earlier as well. Green flag back in the air, top side, still not the cleanest of starts. They checked up a little bit. You can see about 7 or 8 cars back. They're 3 wide as some cars got out of line. It's a sloppy start for the top side, but the leader's home free off of turn number 2 and fighting for the race lead is Kyler Wynn to the outside, looking for the top spot.
These drivers, patience is key. I mean, in order to finish first, you must first finish. I say it every single broadcast. There's really no reason right now to be getting way too aggressive. If you need to move around a little bit, you need to move around. It's cool, but only when the opportunity is actually there. But if you're trying to force an opportunity, it's just not going to end well. I mean, it's crazy that people don't understand and realize that when you're running a super speedway, you can literally sit back and not do anything and gain 5 spots within 2 laps. So everyone, just calm down for a little bit, and you will make it to the end and give yourself a shot to win. But if you make too much movement, try to do too much, it's not going to work.
Well, and to your point, Jesse, that 22 car, instead of staying in line up top, he jumped down to the middle trying to make a pass and had no help, and he just got sucked all the way back there. Now, with that said, I'd like to point out something here. Everybody's got their foot down to the floor up front here. They're at speed. Now, if you see, there's the lower lane and the top lane. Now, if you were to draw a line on the front of the cars from the top lane to the bottom lane, that is where the air is both hitting on those 2 lines. And depending on how many cars are behind them and lined up and gaining that momentum, it will push one line forward from the other. Now, when that happens, that weight changes on the particular line that's further ahead. And that could actually draw back the line that's on the bottom. And if they team up, they can move back forward. So what you're going to see is a lot of guys trying to play the game of one line moving forward and the front guy in that group jumping down to the other line that's moving faster. Like, for example, here, I think that's the 54 that's up front. He's down below. You're probably going to see him, if he's smart, jump up to the top as quick as possible. Oh, well, he got past. So as you're doing it, watch them move between the lines to be able to hold their position as best as possible. It's very interesting watching that. As you're explaining it, we're literally seeing it right there in front of our eyes and how the air is affecting these vehicles and how each line is moving up, moving back, depending on what people are doing. Because everybody is so impatient that they're not willing to all just work with each other. If about 6 or 7 or 8 cars in line just work with each other, like, hey, I'm not going to try to pass you right now because I can't win the race on lap 22, but if we just work together, just sit right in line, we stop pushing each other, we stop moving around, we stop trying to pass each other,
all of a sudden your lane will move up and you'll just keep moving and moving and moving while everybody else is just throwing each other around, moving around, trying to pass on the outside, the inside, trying to make these crazy moves. Just stay in line and you will take your group up to the front. And then at the end, then you can be like, hey, I don't have any friends anymore. It's time to go.
You see Garrett Maines there. He moved to the top side, saw the run coming, and then Sean Conklin saw what he was doing, jumped right up, got in front of him. Everybody wanted to go to the top side. Well, now the place to be, the bottom, because the bottom's got the run down the backstretch, and that's going to give the 16 of Brock Westerland the nose in front as they head off to turn number 3. So that constant dance, top side to bottom, is going to continue all night long. And a bit of 3 wide on the right-hand side of your screen there. That's the 25 of Kevin Freese, who gets cycled out. The 90 machine behind him, but Jordy Lopez put him 3 wide, passed him up, and 3 wide's going to drag those cars backwards. See the 3 wide about 9 rows back? It's going to slow them down compared to these leaders who are only 2x2.
Holy moly. 3 wide back there. It's the middle of the pack is looking like the front of the pack, but all the way back there. I mean, they are getting aggressive and dicey.
And you talk about having discipline, right, and being patient. So when you get up there and you're, instead of taking the chance to dive to the middle in hopes that you'll pass someone, knowing that you don't have any help from behind, instead it's kind of counterintuitive. Get on the, drag that brake a little bit, stay in line, don't try to pass someone, and you're probably going to move forward because you're in line with everybody else. But as soon as you get pushed out there and you go, oh, there's a hole, I'm going to go to the middle, but there's nobody behind you to help you, you're falling back.
There's a look on Chase Pierce's machine. He's got the stock car wheel. As you go on board with him, he's got a front row seat of all of the chaos happening up the road and part of the 3 wide. There's nobody in the middle, right on cue. He drops to the middle, wants to get under that 35 car in front of him. Can't get the draft he needs, goes back up top side, and will try it again. That's going to be happening all night long. Take advantage. Which lane's better at any given time? And in the blink of an eye, we go from 3 wide, 7 rows deep, to only 1 car being in the middle of the 3 wide, and that's going to drop the 30 machine way back. Ton of spots lost there for Zachary Lima as he went back, and now we reset and see who's giving the car to go to the middle next. Most of your leaders 2x2, and again, the fact that this race is so short and the fact that these early yellows have a lot of these cars thinking they can go on field at the end of the race, we're not going to have that portion of the race where they just lock in and log laps. That's just not going to happen tonight.
Nope, it's not. They're all trying to make decisions right now. They're trying to figure out, hey, I got $4,000 on the line, and I'm about to possibly win that here in about 34 laps. So, yeah, they're making decisions right now. Nobody's waiting. Nobody's chilling. They're going. And we can clearly see it. They're all going, which makes for a very exciting show to watch. But the most secure idea in elite strategy is to just stay a little bit more patient. It's not long. I know it's not a long race, but it is long enough. You're not going to win right now. Just stay patient, stay in it. It'll be okay. Some people are going to knock themselves out. Just stay with it. Work with a few buddies. Just stay with it. Be smart, and I promise it will end very well for you.
That middle lane is forming up. They are deciding to go that direction, and it's actually they're moving up really quickly. One of the things I wanted to point out, the gap between the high line and the low line. That gap, it keeps both lines going the same speed. But if you get down and you side draft that lower line and get closer to the quarter panel of that car to your left, say, what it actually does is it doesn't make you any faster or your line any faster, but it slows them down. And so that's actually how you're passing cars here. Isn't going faster making you go faster, it's slowing down your competitor. And when that third line starts to form in the center, that starts pulling all of the cars around them back, and that's why you get this pack that's starting to break away in the front.
Probably the most cars we've seen in that middle lane so far tonight. More cars keep jumping there. You see Daniel Simpson, who rides in line on the bottom of the racetrack. He's got the motion sim. I kind of shouted out those triple monitors, but it's far more than that hides in the shadows. And there's a good look at it, moving them around. I mean, again, it comes down to immersion at that point and feeling like you're in a real race car, and you're never going to I guess, willingly replicate race car-like temperatures, but the motion rig's a good way to get the feel, that kind of butt feel, if you will, because that's the biggest challenge when you have real-life drivers is, oh, there he goes!
Oh, wow.
Simpson is around.
Oh, we saw it live.
You saw it in his eyes first. His eyes got big, and then the wheel hooked it, and I know Daytona does not require that much wheel if things are going according to plan, and that's a unique perspective of caution number 4.
Yeah. Well, right when I saw that wheel crank over, I'm like, oh, there he goes. There he goes. But yeah, it's nuts to watch. It's also, pretty nuts to watch the motion set, right? As he's wrecking, as he's spinning, as he's hitting the wall, all the motion, everything jarring him around, and he's trying to control the vehicle, and it's, oh man, that looks crazy. Ooh. Ouch.
Somebody get that guy a helmet. I mean, if it's anything like with what the wreck looked like, that was a hard hit right there.
Maybe we'll check on him when he goes to the infield care center.
Yeah, watch that blue car topside right there. Just got the fence on his own, dropped the speed down, got hit by the 37, and it's a couple of big wrecks off in turn number 1, and it is going to be another yellow flag on the night. That accident happened back in the mid-20s. Going to bring some cars down pit road for repairs. Curious if any of the leaders will come down for any more fuel, or if everybody feels like they're pretty comfortable on the fuel front. Let's go back on board with Braided Black. Chatted with him pre-race. What was his perspective of this one? Riding in line, low lane, big wreck up the road. Hard to see through the sun and the smoke, and in the end, on the binders, that's how you do it. Didn't get hit from behind, kind of tiptoed his way through. And then in the end, yeah, all things come to an end in Daytona. But certainly put forth the effort to hang on to it. And let's get a word with Braided Black, who is involved to some extent in that most recent yellow flag on the night. And Kyle, you talked with him pre-race, so let's have you chat with him.
Braden, give us your perspective. What happened there? Well, it seems like Braden is so busy and so focused trying to get his car back to the pits that he does not have his mic on. But one of the things I noticed with what was going on, he was backing it down and doing everything he needed to do to avoid that wreck, and it was just at the last minute when he got barreled into. And that is one thing that is super important about this, is not only to look out your front windshield, but to use that rearview mirror and see the people that are coming so that you can at least help try to avoid it if possible. But as soon as we get him back up on, we will check in with him, and we will get his perspective on how that... Hey, you got me? You there, Braden?
Sorry, I was dealing with something in the race.
Oh, I got that. Tell us, what happened there? What's your perspective on what just went down? It looked like you almost missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I got lucky there. I mean, I think I missed it for the most part, but... yeah, I'm just looking to stay in the back here for the next, I don't know, maybe 15 laps, 10 laps. Let it all happen in front of me, and then maybe have a better shot at it.
Do you have an actual spotter helping you out today, or are you just using the software?
No, I'm not even. I just got the iRacing spotter. I don't even pay attention to it. I just do it myself.
There you go. Head on a swivel and pay attention to everything around you. Good luck out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you're able to do towards the end here.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, you do got plenty of virtual mirrors in the sim, which can help. I know that it is certainly much nicer, Jesse, when the sim gives you a floaty to virtual mirror that's crystal clear and it's not shaking and there's not sweat dripping through your eyes. It is easier than a real life car to kind of spot yourself. I'd still recommend help if you got it, but some drivers out here manage it on their own. Goes to show that not everybody's got a team of 2 or 3 behind them. It's a one-man band right there.
You're exactly correct, and it just brings back memories of all the Daytona races and Talladega races I've run so far in the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series, ARCA Series, you name it. And yeah, it's terrible when you look up in that mirror and it's all shaking around, and you're trying to see what's in front of you, but also what's behind you, and then you're using your mirrors on the side, and everything's just shaking the entire time, so you can't get like a clear view, and you're just having to make the most of it. And then also at the same time too, your feet are burning on the floor of the car, but these drivers, who are racing on the sims, they don't have to worry about their feet burning. burning, and they don't also have to worry about having uncomfortable shoes if they have Goodyear footwear shoes. And speaking of Goodyear footwear, we have a cool opportunity for anybody who's watching this right now. You can head to Goodyear Footwear's website and you can order your own pair of Goodyear footwear shoes. They're great for driving, walking around, or doing whatever you do. I even got multiple pairs. I wear them going out with my street cars. I wear them going to a track. I wear them going anywhere. I mean, it is a really, really fun time. But just go to their website and use the code ERA Omega Cup Flash. ERA Omega Cup Flash. That is your discount code to get 35% off of a new pair of Goodyear footwear shoes. They're amazing. They look really, really good. They're comfortable, and you'll absolutely love them.
35% off, Jesse? That's awesome. That's a big amount off right there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Anybody watching, go do it right now. They're amazing. I've been using these things for years. I'm talking about at least 8 or so years I've been using these shoes. I've used them on my sim. They're an amazing shoe for using on sims. I've used them for walking around, going out, doing whatever. I mean, they're just really good, great-looking shoes, comfortable, and just the perfect driver's shoe, whether you're in your street car or you are on your simulator.
Well, everybody at Jet Siawuji Motorsports wears them as well, all of the crew. And when you're at Daytona, you put in about a half marathon of walking around in the pits. And I tell you, your feet don't hurt in comparison to wearing some other shoes.
And the top finishers in this race get to walk away with some free ones. So that's a good consolation for the drivers who may not have tonight ending the way they hoped. Another spread out restart, but this time the top side actually gets the little bit of a benefit. 5 cars on the lead draft up top with more coming to 3 on the bottom. Now the inside has been better, up to speed, down the back straightaway on restarts tonight, but because they're a little bit less coordinated, the super stretch will pay favor to the top side. That's Matthew G. Baker, pushed by Steven Korosek. They have the advantage this time off to 3, and just as quickly as they started working together, Korosek had to slice down to the inside and leave the 5 car.
Oh, and the leaders are getting into it. That's the first time we've seen wrecking starting up front. Everything has been in the middle or the back of the field, and now up front just getting a little bit too crazy, and there he went.
I don't know if we could call that one a save, guys, but I don't think we wadded them up, all things considered. That looked like the making of a huge mess because it started on the front row. You will see the 27 not clear right there. There's the contact. Vicente Salas gets tagged. I thought there's going to be 4 cars into the fence, but in the end, they straightened it out, used a bit of the lawn on the front stretch, but that could have been a lot worse. I'll take that.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. He's going like a $150 through the lawn, and it works. But in real life, you can't do that. You will rip your front bumper off. You will end your day. You're trying to go that fast through the lawn at Daytona International Speedway.
And I'm not sure if he made a right turn trying to block the upper line, or the 2 cars behind him, that 12, as it was just as he got to his rear bumper that all of a sudden that car shot right. So I'd have to get a closer look to see if that was actually him not being clear and just trying to get to the top line, or if he actually got pushed up there.
A good look at all the different evasive actions that were taken, and let's take another look from the iRacing drone of that race lead car. Tough to tell if he's just, unwinding it. I mean, you had made the point, Kyle, that you're going to see drivers do that thing all night long, right? Outside line's got a run coming. I'm going to jump up there, kind of work with them, and if that was the decision, it's a little bit late. Maybe the overhead's going to give us the best perspective. The 6 and the 32 start to get to his bumper in the corner, but I think he just tries to move high a little late.
Yep, and just a little late and too quick. I mean, that was a quick jump to the outside line, and I mean, I know you don't want to telegraph your moves, but golly.
Even if they wanted to lift and cut you a break, there was no time.
Nope.
Well, after that, normally you don't get away with a wreck from the race leader, and nobody's wadded up. Here's the perspective of Cody Niegels, and you'll see this is going to happen right in front of him. Car moves high, just gets clipped by the 5. He sees it coming, gets low, and almost got wiped out. The 11 car got tagged behind him. That was Malik Ray who gets a little bit of damage. But again, when it's all said and done, not a big mess on the racetrack. This yellow will bring us past halfway home. in this Omega Cup Spring Bowl at Daytona. There's another perspective on how close he was to getting involved in it.
And the goal
camera angles are awesome.
The goal is to slide across the Daytona symbol after you've taken the checkered flag, not at halfway.
Well, they're just mapping out their celebration for a little bit later. Minor damage, so these drivers may not even need to burn their quick repair for that, but a lot of cars down pit road under this yellow to get a little bit of service. Well, since we are past halfway, we'll take another opportunity to step away. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing, and when we come back, looking for a restart inside of 25 laps to go, but it's Garrett Maines leading at Daytona.
Steve, you have grown up around NASCAR your entire life. Have you ever felt an aura or seen a backdrop like what we're seeing here?
Rick, I can't believe this is real. It is so real. We are standing inside a world-class 12-turn road course that's set up in the middle of Chicago.
You know, we talk about that each weekend in NASCAR racing is an event. Now, this has gone to another level.
Yeah, I agree. It's a significant event. You just look at all the people wandering through, all the different faces. Everyone's coming to see what's going on with this spectacle called NASCAR. A lot of these folks have never even seen a NASCAR race, and that is great to have all these new eyeballs on our sport. So excited to be here. This is a great opportunity for our sport.
The cars about ready to fire the engines for the first time ever in NASCAR's history. 75 years of racing, and this has never happened. They're about to race on a street course.
And if you feel the anxiety, so don't the competitors, right? The street course was enough, but as a former crew chief, this was always the most pressure-packed time I can't imagine.
All smiles now on the faces as everyone here in Chicago knows what is about to happen.
Drivers, start your engines! Let's go!
NASCAR is racing in the streets of Chicago. Down the front stretch they come for the first time.
Back live and under green flag conditions at Daytona, close it in on 20 laps to go in this ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl. Side-by-side racing up front for the race lead. One of the cleanest restarts we've seen, and a couple of goes around means it's even inside and out. But as they come back through the tri-oval, advantage to the outside for Garrett Maines, guys, a familiar name here in these ERA events. A previous race winner back at the Fall Bowl in 2022 at the Irwindale Speedway. Looking to get it done on the high banks. He is settled in nicely to that top spot.
Strategy, strategy, strategy. They're going 3 wide, but they're keeping it together, which is nice. Nothing too exaggerated as far as moves being made, but we see that top line working really nice right now. But you already know that bottom line, they're going to pick up some steam. Oh, and somebody gets a little bit out of line. 4 wide right there in the middle. That's not going to work. Ooh, what's he going to do? Is he going to come back in and take everyone out? And he doesn't. They hold it together.
That was Matthew Lee who got pushed to the apron, and then he said, if you're going to push me down there, give me a lane to come back up. He did not want to have to lift out and go to the rear, and he fought his way back onto the track. He'll lose a ton of spots, but he does not lose the draft, and that's critical.
And all that does is make that lower line back up when they're not in formation. And from what I can tell, whether it's the setup that's in all of these cars at the moment, but that high line is what's picking up all of the speed. But here's the thing, the low line, that's where you want to be to avoid everything, because when the wrecks happen, all the wrecks go to the outside. They travel with momentum up to that wall. And so if you're down at the bottom, you may have a chance to avoid it. But if you're at top, you're just a sitting duck. But at this moment, that's the fast place to be. So it's a gamble. Which way do you go?
You can see the outside still moving, a 2-car length advantage up there for now. Not a ton of movement, though, in terms of who's where in line. Maines leads the outside line. It is Matthew Baker in second, and then Cody Niegels in third. That's kind of the break that they have. 3-car lengths over the bottom. That inside lane led by the number 45 of Michael Guest, a super experienced iRacer in his own right. We talk about some of the top NASCAR level talent that is here. Well, right now they've got drivers leading both the inside and the outside.
No!
Oh, he goes through the middle.
Damn it! About and cut somebody off, and we got more cars in the grass.
Wow.
Reminiscent of Dale Earnhardt passing the grass right there.
Passing the grass. Nobody is anybody's friend here. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy to watch it. There is no friends. There is no real alliances. As much as they want to talk beforehand, nobody is your friend when you're at Daytona, when you are at a super speedway, and when you're going after $5,000, which is a huge cash prize pool for any kind of sim racing events. There is no other sim racing events like these ones right here. We have drivers from all around the world coming in, competing for this cash prize. You can't do it anywhere else. You can do it here with ERA and the Omega Cup, but you can only do it if you're a member. So if you want to become a member of the eRacing Association, make sure you go to eragaming.gg and sign up to become a member. That is eragaming.gg to sign up as a member. You see it right there in the bottom of the screen. You can get signed up and you can become one of these drivers competing in these events so that you can win that cash prize and go do whatever you want with it, whether it's getting into real racing, buy a new sim racing setup, whatever it is. That's money that goes into your pocket, and we got it wrecking again.
Oh, that was the 71 of Young, and they're finally going to spin him out. Darrell Young hard into the wall. Caution comes out. The spinner in the end is Yakov Kursadov, who ends up going all the way around in the 84 car. He is slow and in the grass, and this yellow now will bring us closer and closer to the 10 to go margin. We got away with one in the tri-oval. We did not get away with that one, and that's just some old school stacking them up. We've seen it on the restarts. We see it here at speed. They're just going to start checking up on the top side. Look at that accordion effect starting to film, and eventually one car kind of becomes a ping pong in between. A couple of cars get hooked around, and thought maybe for a moment we were going to get away with it, but there were just too many cars left behind that. Track was blocked, and about 4 or 5 cars I think will get some significant amount of damage. But it all started well ahead of Kursanov, but just watch how quickly this checkup happens, and you just can't get away from it. Cars start bouncing off each other, and then everybody's just kind of hoping that the lane they're in opens up. That's a good piece of driving right there for Hayden Swank.
Wow, that was some awesome wreck avoidance right there. I mean, everywhere where they were not, he was. That was awesome.
Maybe a little bit of luck involved in missing any wreck at Daytona, but he wheeled that thing through there. I'll tip my... I don't have the cowboy hat on like we saw when we were talking about, pre-race interviews. I don't got the cowboy hat that, was it Braden Black who was rocking it? I don't got that cowboy hat, but I'll tip my proverbial hat to Swank for that save. That was a good piece of driving to keep himself in it. And there's going to be cars coming down pit road for service, but the kind of rash of let's come down, get pit, service, let's get fuel, let's think strategy, that's kind of stopped. We haven't seen kind of wholesale guys coming in and topping off in the last 2-3 yellows. So everybody feels like they're in a position that they're going to have fuel to get to the end of this race with. Only, Kevin Freese has been out there for 31 laps. Same with Maines and Baker, who are first and second. Cody Niegels along with Colin Bowden, Logan Clampett. Those guys haven't pitted in about 27 laps. But everybody else is pitted within about 15. So they're all plenty good on fuel. And I think the others should be good on fuel based on the number of opportunities they've had to save under some of the yellows.
Now, we keep talking about fuel, but there's another aspect to this as well, which is tires. Now, it's a super speedway, so tires don't wear as much. And if you get a fresh set of stickers, you're actually going to be slower because you have more grip, and what you want is less grip. But with a couple of laps on them, you're still in a place where when you get a push or you're moving around, that you still have enough grip to where it's not completely out of your hands. So for anybody that's out there who's been trying to get into the pits and do fuel only to get out in front of other cars, one thing to think about is that a car with, 12-ish so laps on it actually is a little bit more stable and just as fast as the cars that, have 20, 25 laps on.
There's another reminder for those of you tuning in, and if you're not in this race, and if you're in this race, I don't know why you're listening to us currently, but for those aren't in the race and can't race for an opportunity to win a pair of Goodyear sim racing shoes, there's your opportunity to get a great discount. Jesse, we were talking about this one earlier. If they go to GoodyearFootwearUSA.com and enter the code ERA Omega Cup Flash, you're going to get 35% off your purchase.
Yeah, 35% off of these amazing shoes. And I like I said, I love them. I actually use them every single day when I'm on my simulator. And then also when I go out in public, whether I'm just driving and just doing, car enthusiast stuff, or I go into a track, whatever it is, or just going out to grab some food. I throw on my Goodyear footwear shoes. They're comfortable. They look good. They fit your foot really, really well. They're stylish, and anyone can get their own. So you can just head to the website right there and use the code. That's ERA Omega Cup Flash. Use that discount code to get 35% off. That's over 1/3 off of the price.
We talk about some of the sim racing hot takes in terms of your setup. I know, gloves, no gloves, monitors versus VR headset. Another one is shoes or no shoes, right? And I think a lot of the people could be swayed to join the team shoes side of that debate if they had some custom-built Goodyear sim racing shoes, because I promise your tennis sneakers aren't gonna do you too well, even on the sim pedals. If nobody's got a proper racing boot, then they're gonna simply opt for the socks or barefoot, which is a popular choice. So I got some family members checking in on some of our drivers as well under the yellow. Some are trying to keep some heat in those tires. This is it. I mean, we may, I think more than likely, may still have some restarts in this one, guys. But we're coming to a 15 lap to go restart. There is no more saving. And Jesse, I know we always say to finish first, you must first finish. I think we're at that point, right? I don't think many drivers can afford to play it safe. There's a long 15 laps, but I don't think these race car drivers are thinking, conserve anymore.
You know what? When I finished 11th at Daytona in the Xfinity Series back in August of 2022, I remember my crew chief telling me they're not done wrecking. And it was around this time, with 16 laps to go, he told me they're not done wrecking. And you know what? They're not done wrecking.
See if we can make it to the end. You'll cross your fingers. 15 laps to go. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. Control car, the 2 and Garrett Main's going to bring us back to speed on the bottom. Already 7 rows back. Couple of cars looking 3 wide. It's Colin Bowden and the 43 car Kyler Wynn. Now more cars going to go up to the 3rd lane.
The worst thing you can do is get out front there and get too much of a gap, because all of those cars are just going to freight train by you. Now, he was lucky enough to hold him back and get in line on that top line, but look at the bottom line and the middle line. If they don't form up quick, that top line is just going to control this race.
What started as 2 lower lanes and a 3rd lane quickly turned into some 2x2 with everybody eventually going topside. And look at this move. Oh, big block. 41's into the outside wall. The 43 cars in.
They saved it. Oh, no. Oh,
there they
I
go.
spoke too
back
soon.
Up in front of traffic.
Wow.
We're not done wrecking. We'll wad some more up into turn 1.
I told you, they're not done wrecking.
He called it. Credit to you. You called it.
Now, here's the point where faster pairs are gone, that field is going to get smaller and smaller. And there's going to be a section of the field out there that has body damage and isn't able to keep up. Now, when they're in the back of the field, they'll start slowly getting away from them. And if there's enough laps, you might actually see these cars coming up and lapping other cars.
We saw what happened in turn 3 a little bit earlier when we lapped a car, and you'll have some of those damaged cars as well who are out of quick repairs, to your point, just kind of having to ride. It's probably not going to be top 10 cars, top 15 cars, but you get back into the 20s, you'll have some beat-up cars who are just kind of hoping to catch a ride on the draft. Let's see Patrick Gitter's perspective of this one, because it's going to happen in front of him. Car into the outside wall. Right here, we thought maybe they had it, and they just ran out of room. Wrecking high, wrecking low. Another good piece of driving to avoid that one. And that's going to get Gitter up the running order with a pretty decent spot, I'd say, going into the final restart. Good job.
One of the ways to avoid the wrecks, you will drive where you look. It's similar to shooting an arrow or shooting a gun. Wherever you look, that's where your arrow or your bullet's gonna go. Same thing goes with the car. So if you're looking at the other cars, most likely you're gonna hit them. But if you look for the gaps between the cars, then that's where your car goes. And both the 2 times we've seen guys wheel their cars through those wrecks, I guarantee you that's what they're doing.
And most of the time, I know you had mentioned earlier, bottom lane maybe a little bit safer. I've always felt a little bit better on the bottom on the sim because these wrecks tend to come back up the hill, right? We thought they had it saved, and you get through the travel, it comes back up the hill. Oftentimes, a car's not going to spin in the middle of the racetrack and just park it and slide down the track right in the middle. They're going to slide up first and then come back down. So you almost don't want to aim for the gap if it's outside of the car, because that's probably where the car's going, right? So you almost have to kind of guess where those cars are going to move. And again, that's where that beautiful mix of a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill is the dynamic duo that's going to find you surviving some of this Daytona chaos. And at the very top of the show, Jesse mentioned we've been doing this now since 2020, but no track has been on the calendar as many times as Daytona in this Spring Bowl. This is the kickoff of the calendar year every single time. It is the most accessible race in terms of anybody who enters this one could win it, right? You get so many talented drivers that you might be able to handicap or put some odds on some of the other ones. You just simply can't do that here at a place like this. And yes, your top 4 are all big names from the world of eNASCAR. Malik Ray, Michael Guest, Garrett Maines, and Colin Bowden. But behind them, you got Niegels, you got Vallejos, you got Conrath, Watson, Gitter, who we just saw earlier is P11. Those guys have got just as good of a shot at winning these races as some of those pros do.
You're exactly right. And when it comes to these final laps, because we're basically going to go green here with about probably like 10 or so laps to go, it's usually not the safest place to be if you're riding around like P1, P2, especially on those final laps. You actually want to probably be 3rd or 4th and just be right there just to be able to have an opportunity to take the lead, because once you're in the lead, you can't really go anywhere else. It's not like you could just continue to move forward. The only thing you can do is just kind of stay where you're at, and other people are just fighting to get in front of you. So it's like actually really kind of a not so great spot. But if you're sitting there like, P3 or so, someone just right behind, someone, both of you are just in line, just right there behind. I mean, that gives you the opportunity to make some moves and then take the lead when you want. You can control when you want to go to the lead versus the folks who are in the lead. They don't have any control of it. They're just sitting ducks. So it's going to be interesting when we go to these final laps here. I mean, we're about to go green here in a moment. We're going to have about 10 laps to go. I would say that they're probably still not done wrecking, but we'll find out. Anybody can win here in the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl here at Daytona International Speedway.
If I was a betting man, I'd probably go with you on your decision there on if we'll see this green to the end or not. And yeah. We had mentioned off of the top, but it's worth reminding you. We'll talk procedure if we need to, but worth noting that if we do see a yellow that takes us beyond our scheduled distance of 60 laps, we will have 3 attempts maximum at an iRacing overtime or a green-white checker finish. So we'll talk more about that if we need to, but just keep that in mind, is that we are going to do everything we can to have a green flag finish here at Daytona. Lined up on the backstretch, I'd say there's still a healthy number of 29 cars that are, pretty pristine. We still got 38, 36 on the lead lap, Kyle. I know we'd mentioned, eventually these guys are going to run out of quick repairs. They're going to be running out there with some damage, but that's a healthy field number, all things considered still.
Definitely. And for the guys up front, the thing that I'm paying attention to now is how they do this restart. It is counterintuitive. You'd want to just step on the gas and go, but that just is going to separate you from the rest of the field. And remember, 2 cars is faster than 1, 3 cars is faster than 2, and so on. So one of the things you're going to see is these guys kind of backing up to the car behind them, because the car behind them is going to want to try to back up and leave a gap as well so that they can get that run. And it stacks everybody up. And we saw the accordion effect that it did last time. But it's really interesting to see them coming to take the flag and seeing them all bunch up in the way that they do.
Here we go. Could it be for the final time tonight? 10 laps to go at Daytona. Green flag back in the air, and it's a quick move from the control car. Malik Ray immediately jumps to the top side. He's going to work with the 45 of Michael Guest. That leaves the 2 of Maines on the bottom. They'll be nose to nose as they get through the gears.
That top line formed up, but then it broke apart into 2 tandem cars. That bottom line seems to be doing pretty well, nose to tail, but they are kind of darting around a bit, getting those fenders out in the air. They just got to stay exactly in line the best they possibly can, and that's going to be able to push them up to the front. Now that lead car that you see there, let's watch him move back and forth. He moved.
They're fighting.
Yeah, woo! trying to control the race that way, and that's what you're going to see all the way through the end of this race, moving from the top line to the bottom line and back.
This is getting interesting. I mean, they're not calm, but they're keeping it together, and there's some moves being made. People being left out to dry. No friends, no new friends here.
Garrett Mange just left on red topside. They all went to the middle. And in the blink of an eye, he's P6 in line. Look at that move to the middle. Oh, that's...
Oh, they're wrecking.
He gets turned.
They're wrecking again.
Comes out. Oh, look out. He's coming back up the hill.
Oh.
Maybe wrecking a few more.
They're still wrecking.
Another big mess. And Garrett Maines thought he was sitting pretty. He was leading that line into 2. And about 10 seconds later, he was mid-pack getting wrecked.
You know he's not happy, and we're looking at his in-house footage right now with him at the wheel. And yeah, it's disappointing, because you get to this point, you've been running pretty clean, and then all of a sudden, that's it.
6 car tried to get high, wasn't there, checked up the 9, and then it just kind of pinballs him from there. Again, it was another aggressive move. They saw the inside line was kind of dying out and wanting to leave that lane and go where the speed was the number 9 machine, and there just was not room for Garrett Conrath to get up there. You'll see the wiggle, and then it just kind of stacks up from there. Conrath was there. I should say it was the 6 car of Cody Neagles who tried to get in front of Conrath, checked up the 9, and then the 9 kind of got squished. They were almost 4 wide at a minute there, and Conrath suffers at the expense of the 6. The 6 right there, that's the first move that starts it. And Jesse, as it seems to happen a lot in these plate races, the car who starts it, or was where it started, drives away home free, and it's the other cars who pay the price.
Yeah, that's the tough thing. Yeah, I mean, the one that starts it, sometimes they're, turning other cars, doing this and that, and yeah, sometimes they end up getting out, scot-free. Everybody else takes all the damage, and there's innocent people behind that take a lot of damage too as well. It's tough. I mean, but that's super speedway racing. That's what happens, and especially when you're coming down to these final laps here and so much money on the line, everyone's willing to make these crazy moves, and like I said, no friends.
Well, everybody takes an opportunity to take a collective exhale and get ready to do it all over again, because this next restart likely to fall on about 5 laps to go in the race, which almost guarantees that if we do get another yellow beyond that, it would take us to iRacing overtime, and then we'd be talking about green, white, checker procedure. The funny part, maybe in a twisted way, Kyle, is that, any time in a race, certainly a 60-lap race especially so, if you get a yellow, that chops 5 laps out of the equation, right? That's 5 less laps you have opportunities to make moves. So when you get inside of the final 20, you might get frustrated that, the car's back, maybe rows 5 on the back or causing a mess. The problem is, if they wreck, well, now they have 5 less laps to try to catch the leader. So what are they going to do in the next restart? They're going to be that much more aggressive, cause the yellow, and then again, going to lose more lap opportunities. So that is the viciousness, that is Daytona, and that is super speedway racing, is the wrecks take away opportunities for you to make moves, but that only gets caused by people desperate to make moves.
Cautions breed cautions. That's the famous saying, right? Not only does it stack all the cars up, but yes, you're losing laps and you're losing time to do the moves that you need to do. And I think, we talk about having no friends out there and every man for themselves, and the result is this. It's wreck after wreck after wreck. But what these guys could learn a little bit from is that if you can team up with someone, you can cooperate with someone and move your way to the front, whether that's 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars, you're gonna have a better opportunity. And then, yeah, when you get down to that final bit, you can race for it and you can see who actually comes out on top. But there is something to be said about working with people, even this late in the race. That's one of the reasons why manufacturers and teammates work with each other in the real world with racing, and here none of these people really know each other. But if you can create that bond, knowing and seeing as you race this entire race on what that person is doing, and if they're running clean laps and everything else, you can then trust that you can work with them to get to the front. The issue here is that everyone here is doing every man for themselves, and they're trying to win that big money, but that's what we're seeing. The conclusion to that is wreck after wreck after wreck, and that just wrecks race cars. So I'd like to see at the end here some good, solid racing and not have to go to a green-white checker, but we'll see what happens. The lights are out on the pace car, and I have a feeling, like Jesse said, they're not done wrecking yet.
Yeah, they definitely. Well, we'll find out. I mean, 6 laps is a long time, because these laps, I mean, it's not like you go when you go to an intermediate track or even a short track. These laps aren't just 30 seconds, 20 seconds. These laps are all around 45, 46, 47 seconds long. But it is a fairly long lap. So even though it's showing 6 laps to go, we're about to be 5 laps to go when they go green. I mean, that's a long time, and each lap feels like an eternity, especially if you're sitting up front and you have an opportunity to win.
Well, this could be it, or we got a little bit more in us. We're going to find out one way or the other. $5,000 purse on the line, $4,000 to the winner. Some shoes courtesy of Goodyear Sim Racing shoes as well, up for grabs for some of the top finishers as well. For a lot of these drivers, maybe one of the biggest restarts of their life. Can we see some of these names on row 3 and 4 upset some of the big heavy hitters who occupy 5 of the top 6 spots? Pace car off and in. 5 laps to go at the Daytona International Speedway. Green flag in the air. It's a good jump from Malik Ray on the bottom, but is it too good? He is way out in front on his own.
Oh, this is going to get interesting.
That was a quick move by him. He saw that he was on an island and couldn't rely on the 41 to push him, so he went topside, got in front of Michael Guest, and that's going to give the outside the advantage off of 2.
These drivers are fighting. They're fighting. They all want the cash. They all want the shoes. These Goodyear footwear shoes. The top 5 get them, but what are they willing to do to get it?
Look at all those cars in line up top, and what was it, 3 down on the bottom? I mean, one of the cars actually jumped out of line just to get up top there. But maybe, just maybe, the bottom might start forming up. We got 3 cars on their way forward right now.
Yeah, the 6 car was topside, but Niegels went low, and he had friends go with them. The 21 of Patrick Gitter went there as well. Remember, Patrick had that great wreck avoidance no more than 10 laps ago? Well, now he's pushing the race leader with an opportunity to win this race. You're looking off at the back of the 6 of Cody Niegels. The inside, though, sputters out down the back. It's a huge run for the cars on the outside.
Just stay patient, stay patient. I know it's only 4 laps to go, but just stay patient. Nothing too aggressive, and your line will move up.
The other thing is by sitting down low on that yellow line, you can't have a car come down and pass you under that yellow line. So if you stay right there, that at least makes sure that all you're worrying about is protecting the outside. When you're up top, you can get a car that decides to go right between you and the wall and take you down low, or cut the middle. So it just seems like all of the cars up top right now are just comfortable sitting up there, and there's just more cars in line, and that's why that line keeps moving forward. But as soon as people start jumping down to the bottom, because on the bottom, that's hundreds of feet.
Caution.
Oh!
Big wreck.
Matthew Baker got turned. He was in about 11th spot when things started to stack up. I thought maybe we were going to get away with that one. The 90 of Jordy Lopez got spit off to the apron, and then it just did not come back together. And I think Gitter in the 21 car is where all of this started as they came off of turn number 2. A middle lane was forming up. That was led by Austin Green in the 33 car, Matt Busa in the 62. And as they come through 1 and 2, watch the middle lane develop. Right now, there's nobody really there, and then one car drops down. You got one car going to the middle, and then that 33 is going to spearhead this entire middle line. He's got Busa working with him, and Gitter, that red car, second in line on the bottom. He's going to push up a little bit when we come off the corner, right? He's getting bounced around right there. That's what gets everybody out of line and very quickly devolves into a wreck.
And if you don't, if you can't tell how important this race is, if you look at the disappointment in these drivers' faces when they get on camera and after they wreck, I mean, this is their chance. This is their chance to not only show off what they're capable of, but it's their chance to win a whole heck of a lot of money. And all the time through this, thinking about what they could do with that money, what's possible, and then just to get knocked out of line with a couple of laps to go. I can understand the disappointment. You can see it on their faces.
Yeah, I'd almost rather, be at an intermediate track or be at a road course where I'm not as good as the other cars than be that close, right? I mean, they're sitting there under yellow. They're kind of making their plan, how I'm going to get through the field. They're thinking about it. To your point, they start thinking about what they would use the money for. We talked to some of them pre-race, Jesse. I mean, I've made the point a couple times that this is not a normal prize purse for a sim race, right? These drivers are not competing regularly for $5,000 a night, $4,000 for the winner. So it's a big deal for them. Money for a car, if it's school, if it's for a hobby to reinvest into their sim rig, right? Whatever it is, it's tantalizing. I mean, what do you think these drivers are doing under the yellow right now? They're thinking about what they're going to do to win the money and what they're going to do with it. So it certainly is a blow when, you have hundreds of drivers try to get into the race to begin with. And then in the end, of the 40 who make it to this main event, only one can get the win. It's tough on those other guys.
But they're thinking about vacations. They're thinking about, maybe buying a new car, maybe putting some money down on a new home they want to purchase. They're thinking about buying a new sim rig, buying some shoes, clothes, new TV. I mean, there's all different kinds of things you can do with $4,000. It's a lot of money, especially if you win it multiple times. I mean, we don't just have one event all year long. We have 4 events. We have one each quarter. So you have an opportunity in a year to win up to $16,000. You also have an opportunity to get Goodyear footwear shoes, ones that you win for finishing in the top 5, because all the drivers who finish in the top 5 will be getting their own brand new pair of Goodyear footwear shoes. So there's so much that is on their mind right now, and they're willing to risk it for the biscuit to make it happen. So much can happen now in these final laps. It's going to get really interesting. Hopefully they can finish under green and clean, but I don't know.
And to that point, the feeling that you get, the exhilaration, the elation that you get when you are running door to door, even in the sim, Like when I jump on the sim, I will sit there and have to stop for a second and realize that I'm not actually in a real car. I've been racing my entire life, but I get on this thing and my brain literally tells me I'm in it. And there is nothing better than racing, door to door, side by side, dicing it up. That feeling is worth every bit of the time that you take to go out here and do this stuff. So that's why we do it. Yeah, you have those moments where you get down because, dang, we just got into a wreck, but you know what? You go in there, get your pit stop, come back out, pull your belts tight, get ready to do it again, because that's what it's all about.
And as a driver, Kyle, I mean, you know it. You know that feeling is something that you can't emulate in any other way. And you know, for you, I mean, you've been racing your whole life, right? You've run late models. You just recently got approved to run in the NASCAR Truck Series and also ARCA as well. So you know, congrats to you on that. But for you, I mean, if you were sitting in these driver's shoes, I mean, what would be going through your head?
Well, I mean, the whole thing is just to keep yourself centered and calm, because if you're focused, if you're in that flow state and you're thinking 2-3 steps ahead but also reacting in the moment, that's your best chance to win. If you get in your head, if you start getting nervous, if you let that fight or flight response come in and your hands start shaking and your legs start shaking, well, that's just one more thing that's working against yourself. So the key is stay calm, stay focused, look ahead, and when those moments happen, don't think about it, just react.
Well, let's talk overtime, because this is going to be attempt number 1 of as many as 3 at a green-white checker finish. We will come to take the green flag, which will simultaneously be 2 laps to go in the race. If we make it to the white flag, we will race to the checkered flag no matter what happens. If there is a yellow before the white flag is displayed, we'll re-rack them and we'll try it again, and we can do that again as many as 3 times. But the key here is racing to the white for this race to be official, and then from that point on, it's fair game to the end. Pace car down and in. Malik Ray and Michael Guest are on the front row. Green flag is back in the air. Here we go, 2 laps to go.
Are they going to hold it together? We'll find out. Both of these lines are looking fairly even for the most part, as far as, you know, being able to keep up with each other. Obviously, the top lane is, you know, taking the lead right now, but it doesn't mean that the bottom lane can't catch up, which they're doing right now. And the number 7 car just getting left out to dry. No friends.
From the top spot to the sucker hole, Malik Ray is gone in the blink of an eye, and your new race leader, the 17 of Max Brady.
Oh, they're wrecking again. Oh, they were almost coming to the white, but did they make it? Yeah.
Big wreck. Matt Busa, the green Chevy who got hooked across the... They're still
wrecking.
Going.
I think I saw a car go to the moon. I mean, literally to the moon. I think somebody exploded.
Done yet.
Somebody bring the ambulance. The virtual.
That will push us to a second attempt at an overtime finish. Those are the kind of wrecks that makes you happy that you can just stand up and stretch after being in one of those, and there is a $0 sign associated with the wreck in a virtual car, and it's just there, just a bump gone wrong, and Busa got spit out from the bottom, and that's one of the bigger wrecks we've seen so far tonight.
Yeah, oh man, carnage. Absolute carnage.
So we see it in the real world, we see it in the sim. The only way to move forward is if you get those hits and everybody's bumping in line and moving forward. And the problem is you hit just a little bit too hard, and that's the result.
And here you're on board with Malik Ray. He was the leader on this restart, got stuck in the middle, 3 wide on his own. He drops back to 20th, and then it gets worse, because then they crashed in front of him. There's a lot of smoke, maybe a thought that he's going to be able to get through it, and then collected at the very end. So what a tough break for Malik Ray, who was sitting as the leader in this race. Had the lead, made his quick move to the top, all was looking well, and then right there, 45 car sidesteps him, leaves him to the middle. Let's see what Junsaw Lim saw as they went down the backstretch and off into 3 from his perspective. The bottom lane is where I would want to be if they start wrecking in front of me, because I feel like that grass or the apron gives me some sort of an escape route. He's already checking up, knowing something's happening, and then gets that car down to the apron to try to squeeze on by it. So a couple of cars able to get through. That might have been an incident limit for him, which ended his night. We referenced that earlier as well, and that took a lot of big names out of this race.
They were hitting all the way down the straightaway, and it wasn't until they got to entry. As soon as they got entry to the corner, they were still hitting on each other, and that's the aftermath of it. But I think literally the lead car that got hung out to dry and put down the center line, the domino effect of that and how it jostled everybody up and how they moved about is what initially ended up causing that full wreck.
So we pick up the pieces, we line them up again, and we do it once more. This will push us to attempt number 2 of 3 at an eNASCAR overtime restart. Rules will be the same. Got to get to the white for it to be official. And again, let's watch this from the start. The 7 does exactly what he needs to do for Malik Ray in the 11 car, right? He gets the jump and he goes up high. That's clearly what he wanted to do, but he wasn't anticipating this. I think it's noticeable. The 2311 car, I guess. I think the Euro step is what he put on him in the center of the corner. Went to the top side, and then there's no help. I mean, nobody wants to help the 7 car, so it would have been bad enough as is for Malik Ray, because that was everyone's dodging him. He's about 10 miles an hour slower. That was bad enough as is. And then again, as the wreck happens, almost has a hole right there. You think he dodged one and collected late in that one to get the damage.
That was
goes to show you,
wild.
0 to 0 in the blink of an eye here at Daytona.
The gaps that were created in the bottom line as everybody was trying to avoid him and go around them, that gap is what creates the run from the car behind them, right? So you get a gap and all of a sudden you start pulling up and you get that freight train of speed coming up, and then that's the big hit, and that big hit is what caused the car on the lower lane to shoot up to the right and cause the big wreck.
Jesse, you mentioned this is not just a one-off. We've referenced a couple of times we've been doing these races 4 times a year since it all started with the Winter Bowl at Nashville back in December of 2020. But for those who are interested in participating in future ERA events, they can see the website on the screen now. Tell them how they can get involved.
Yep. They can head to www.eragaming.gg/membership to sign up to become a member. You have to be a member to compete in these events. That's how these drivers are doing it. They're all signed up as members. They're signed up annually. Some of them been members for 3-4 years or so now, and a lot of them will be members for a really long time. So it's really cool to see the folks who are signing up. We've had people come from all around the world. It's not just people in the U.S. We have people who have raced in different countries in these events. They love it. They think it's awesome, and they're members, and hopefully they're members for life. So just make sure you head to www.eragaming.gg. Become a member of the eRacing Association. Race in our events. Give yourself the opportunity to win. You can't just win it by not doing anything. You have to sign up. You have to become a member. You compete in our events, and there's real cash that you can win and use it for whatever you like in life.
90 on the line right now as well. $5,000 coming up. Could this be it?
90 drivers ended up coming into this thing. 40 drivers are left. It is the best of the best with people that have just got started and got their moment to shine, and this is it.
And only one can win it. Green flag in the air, 2 laps to go. It's another attempt at iRacing overtime. Brady does exactly what we saw to Malik Ray. Quickly goes from the bottom to the top side, but the inside right there, here comes Cody Niegels. He'll also go to the top side though.
Protect that outside. Everybody seems to want to go right between the wall and that car in front of them.
Things are about to get interesting.
That's the 11 on the inside, or the 32 on your timing and scoring of Vicente Salas. They're close, but they've got to get to the white for this to be official.
It's about to get interesting. So good push is going on over there on that inside lane.
Someone's out of fuel, bailing to pit road.
Oh.
They're going to get there. White flag.
Oh.
Spin.
but he holds on to it. He held on to it. Wow.
No yellow, we stay green.
Let him race it out.
Let him race it out.
Brady, freeze, who's going to get it?
Oh, man.
Crazy.
And look at the run. Look at the run coming from these.
The run's coming.
On the inside.
Is he going to throw the block? Is he going to throw the block? I don't know. I don't know.
Can he get momentum?
Sets a 2. That was Michael Gaston.
No, they're starting to wait.
Behind.
No, they're wrecking behind, but they're still going.
Course race, but
they're still going.
Can they fight it out amongst themselves? Neagles.
No cost.
Brady second.
2 of them.
He's looking.
What are they going to do?
He's looking. He's looking.
They're fighting for it.
For the lead.
They're fighting.
There.
Oh my God.
See the celebration. He hangs on. And
wow.
$4,000 prize.
Look at that excitement right there from Cody Neagles. He is excited. Wow. We're excited. That was an amazing finish. Wow.
I thought we were excited. That is an excited man right there. Cody Neagles,
wow.
7 100s. He's still going.
He's still He is pumped. He is very pumped, and he has every reason right now to be pumped. He just won the Spring Bowl, the Omega Cup Series Spring Bowl here with the eRacing Association at Daytona International Speedway. $4,000 is going to him. We are definitely going to pay you. You will get your cash. Wow, good job, Cody.
For all that happened on the last 2 laps of this race, he had to work for that one. The 17 car tried to get under him not once, but twice. He shut the door, and he is going to cheer all the way around the victory lap and all the way into the burnouts, because Cody Neagles is your race winner in the 2024 eRacing Association Omega Cup Spring Bowl. That is what this race means.
Burn it down, Cody.
Burn it down. Wow, this is amazing. What a finish. This is probably one of the coolest finishes I think we've seen.
There's a reason Daytona is on the calendar as the Spring Bowl every year, is because it means that anybody has a chance to win it. And of the 92 cars that wanted to be in his position, Cody Neagles stands above them all as the race winner here at the Daytona International Speedway. What an end. Let's wind it back and watch it again as we relive the final 2.5 miles of this race. And he's in the lead on the white flag lap. That normally doesn't happen. There's going to be a lot of wrecking behind. But he and the 17 guys, they stayed together all the way until those final moments.
That's what we're talking about as far as working together. These top 3 cars were doing their best to stay in line. They pulled away from the rest of the field, and they were waiting for that last moment. That car, the second place car, he gave it his best shot when he got there. But by working together, they were able to run away from the rest of the field.
Oh my goodness, it's crazy. And then just seeing both of them right there, it wasn't like one just ran away with it. Both of them, that's it, the final 2. Nobody else left. Nobody else had a shot. It was just them 2, and they duked it out. The P2 guy couldn't. He was trying. He tried, but he did it clean. He did it clean. Yeah, he roughed him up a little bit. Yeah, he bumped into him, but man, he didn't take him out. And what a crazy, awesome finish. $4,000.
There is something to be said about that. That he could have just run right through him. He could have run right through him and won that race, but he didn't. He tried to pass him clean, and there is a lot to be said about somebody who's a clean driver.
Well, let's take a look at your full race results, and there they are. The final margin of victory, 0.076 seconds for Cody Neagles over Max Brady for the race win in this ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl. Michael Guest had a huge run down the back straightaway, but it stalled out. He settles for 3rd. Garrett Maines is 4th, and Colin Bowden is P5. We'll try to get a word with all of those drivers in just a few moments. Austin Green, Garrett Conrath, Andre Castro, who jumps up late for the P8 result, finishes ahead of Malik Ray in 9th, and then Ray Rittenauer the 2nd, who rounds out your top 10 finishers. Michael Sturgill, Joshua Watson, Junsa Lim, Logan Clampett, and Larry McDonald, your top 15. How about Larry McDonald bouncing back with a victory in his own right after the wreck early, P15, after a rough start to his day. Keegan Doherty, Brock Westmoreland. You got Braden Black, Jonathan Cofield, and Jacob Schneider, all the drivers on that slate inside of the top 20. And then Matthew Lee, Sean Conklin, and Yakov Kursanov will be the only drivers to finish on the lead lap in this race. Everybody else not going to make it to the scheduled distance. Doesn't mean they didn't have good nights. Even Kevin Freese led 5 laps back there. Busa and Korosek finished in the 30s. They led 7 laps combined, but it matters getting to the end. So we'll talk trackside with some of your top finishers in just a moment. First, we'll take one more opportunity to step aside. The post-race show is next. Cody Eagles is in victory lane at Daytona.
Steve, you have grown up around NASCAR your entire life. Have you ever felt an aura or seen a backdrop like what we're seeing here?
Rick, I can't believe this is real. It is so real. We are standing inside a world-class 12-turn road course that's set up in the middle of Chicago.
You know, we talk about that each weekend in NASCAR racing is an event. Now, this has gone to another level.
Yeah, I agree. It's a significant event. You just look at all the people wandering through, all the different faces. Everyone's coming to see what's going on with this spectacle called NASCAR. A lot of these folks have never even seen a NASCAR race, and that is great to have all these new eyeballs on our sport. So excited to be here. This is a great opportunity for our sport.
The cars about ready to fire the engines for the first time ever in NASCAR's history. 75 years of racing, and this has never happened. They're about to race on a street course.
And if you feel the anxiety, so don't the competitors, right? The street course was enough, but as a former crew chief, this was always the most pressure-packed time I can't imagine.
All smiles now on the faces as everyone here in Chicago knows what is about to happen.
Drivers, start your engines! Let's go!
NASCAR is racing in the streets of Chicago. Down the front stretch they come for the first time.
And back live at iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway, where another thrilling ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl has come to an end. And in 2024, your winner is Cody Niegels. Down with him is Jesse.
Cody, I can still see your heart racing right now. You just won $4,000 here at the Omega Cup Series Spring Bowl event at Daytona International Speedway. What is going on in your mind right now? What was going on in your mind on that final lap? There was so much excitement. We had the camera on you the entire time. You were so pumped. Tell us, just how are you feeling and what's on your mind?
I've been doing iRacing for 4 years, and I specialize with super speedways because I just have a passion for it growing up being a Dale Earnhardt fan. And I've been in that spot a million times. So I knew that the pusher is where you want to be, but I also learned a thing from Kyler in the podium when he won on how to defend it. So I figured that I at least gave myself a fighting chance, and Kevin Freese being back there is the third. I was like, all right, if Max tries to go around me, I think Kevin might push me. So I gave myself a fighting chance. I had a look at it, and thankfully I was able to save it. Max, just fantastic job. He could have turned me, but he kept it clean.
He definitely kept it clean, which we in the booth, as we watched that, we thought that was so cool that he was fighting, he was bumping, he was grinding, but he did not take the dirty way out. He did it clean, and you ended up getting the finish. Now you're getting all this cash, and you're also going to get a brand new pair of Goodyear footwear shoes that you can use in your sim. You can use to walk around, and you're probably going to use them to walk around and go spend all that cash you got. So how does it feel getting $4,000 from a sim racing event?
I think it solidifies the time that I put into this and just the sheer dedication, man. I spent hours just working on qualifying alone and running money racing events, polishing up on the next gens and every other car, and just trying to be as complete of a racer on plate tracks as I can possibly be. And I'm surrounded by the best teammates, man. I couldn't ask for a better group, because without the teammates around me, I can't train and be ready for these situations. Those guys deserve all of the credit.
That is awesome. And that's so selfless of you to be able to admit that. That's awesome. You're letting everybody know that, hey, you didn't do this alone. It's not like you just hopped in this thing. You didn't practice at all. You're just like, whatever about it. You jump in and you end up winning. It wasn't luck. I mean, you put in the time, you put in the effort, and life is all about rewarding those who stay strong enough, long enough. You stayed with it. You stayed in it. And guess what? You ended up winning. Now you got $4,000 coming your way. You have some Goodyear footwear shoes coming your way. All this is coming your way. You got so many people who watched you and cheered you on in those final laps. Everybody's saying that's probably the best finish ERA has ever seen. Man, this must be exciting for you. Do you have any sponsors, any companies, any supporters, anybody that you want to thank also?
Absolutely. I want to start off, Evan. I've always wanted to be in a race that you called, man. So thank you. Jesse, thank you. Everyone that called the race for making this happen, putting on the event. Thank you, guys. I will be back for a very, very long time, and I'm hoping this won't be my only win in ERA. I got to think for a second. I got to thank the Bank of Missouri. That's the company I work for. They've set me great in life, and I'm just going to give back and support them on my iRacing journey. I want to thank Extra Life. I want to thank Martin Sports. I want to thank my league I run for, OP Racing. I want to thank PGR Esports, Michael Triscaro. I want to thank Dale Cup. Steven Krosik, Zach Lima, Alex Hill, Vicente Guerrero, Kevin Freese. I want to thank everyone over at NBG, Matt Lee, Matthew Baker, Jeff Merck, everyone that has made this possible, guys. I couldn't have done it without each and every one of you. Thank you. And lastly, thank you to my friends and family for watching, guys. We did it.
Awesome job, man. I can feel the excitement in you. Good job. And man, you absolutely earned this. This is all for you, man. I'm so pumped for you. And I look forward to seeing you in future events, going out there and competing again to try to get some more wins under your belt, man. Good job and congrats for everything. And man, we can't wait to see you at the next event.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for everything.
Well, that's your race winner tonight at the Daytona International Speedway. Cody adds his name to the list of ERA Omega Cup winners. The second half of that battle of the line was Max Brady, and down with him is Kyle.
Max, you finished second, but you did it clean. props to you for running a clean race. Now tell me, as you were getting up there and you were pulling away from those guys, what was it that was working for you that got you to move away from the rest of the field?
Well, I think what was crucial was the restart before I was third. And I knew that, like, when you have these little sprints, these 2-3 lap sprints, the high side is really the key side. So I pushed Malik there a little bit, and then I think they all just jumbled up on the top side. So I was able to get up top. We had the caution. So then I was leading the race. That's right. So then we had the final restart, and I got up top, and I got shuffled. Actually, I got shuffled in turn 1, and I was like 5th or something, or 6th, and I just kept shoving the guy ahead of me. We ended up being 1-2, come to the white flag. And I was expecting like a huge run behind me, and I looked in my mirror and everybody was wrecked. So I was like, okay, down the back straight, I was like, wow, it's going to really be me and Cody. So I was just trying to think of a way to get by him without wrecking him, because I wanted to be as clean as I could. And we got off of turn 4, and I tried to grab his left rear and side draft myself past him, but I can't even lie, he did a good job defending me. So
without having any help behind you, it made it a lot tougher. You said you got up on his left rear trying to pull him back there.
Yeah.
Did he do anything? Did he push you down or try to block that run that you had going? Because it looked like you almost had something going there.
Yeah, I think thinking about it right now and looking back on it, I had like 2 actual shots there to really side draft up to him and pass him. The first time I made the move low, and I went back up to side draft his left rear, and like we hit a little bit, and it kind of stalled my car. And then I got my second chance, and I did it again, and like we hit, and it turned both of us like sideways a little bit. And he was like, at that point, he was basically at the checkered flag, so I didn't even have time to do any other type of move.
Well, it made for an exciting race. All of us here in the booth were cheering both of you on. We were looking for a great win with it. I know I could see you're disappointed by not winning the front, but you do get an awesome pair of Goodyear racing shoes to be able to use on your sim, and everybody knows who you are now. And when you come back to do this again, you'll have a chance to get up front and run. And again, props to you, sir, for running a clean race and doing it the right way. You'll get them next time. Do you have anybody to thank out there in your journey? Sponsors, friends, family?
Yeah, I gotta thank. My car is kind of like a half and half paint. So it's Elite Performance Industries. They're a setup shop here on iRacing that give great setups. And then my other sponsor, Carlos Pizza, they're sponsoring me for the Road to Pro series. They sponsored me last year. I got to Pro. I missed out on the Coke series by like 7 points, so we're doing it again this year, and they're sponsoring me there. So I want to give a huge shout out to Carlos Pizza. And then obviously my family for watching, Mom, Dad, Nikki, Nat for watching me, Don for helping me, Donovan Strauss, he was helping me that whole race. And obviously my team, Norse Force Racing, I appreciate them a lot. So, yeah.
Well, everyone out there, remember the name Max Brady, because next round, he's coming. He may have been runner-up this time, but he had everything possible to be able to win that thing.
And we'll continue some of the chat and post-race with Michael Guest, who I thought was going to be the winner with a huge head of steam down the backstretch. Jesse, he is third tonight. You're with him.
Michael, what did that look like for you? I mean, you were sitting back there. I mean, you're obviously where you were at. I mean, it's not a terrible position to be, especially on the last couple laps. But then everything just got really interesting. And all of a sudden, the front two just peeled away and had their own crazy battle finish. But what was going through your mind in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, that was a really fun race. I really enjoy these because there's not very many races like this on the service that offer the opportunities that this one does. So the people that sign up and how serious we take it is unique compared to most races that are on here. So that's always a really fun competition thing to go through. And at the end of the race there, I mean, I was trying to stick with Malik last year in the same race. He pushed me to the win. I was trying to do the same with him. Unfortunately, that outside had a weird restart, and I started getting left out, so I had to go up, and I tried to lift for Malik, and unfortunately he ended up getting just side drafted back. So that was really unfortunate. And you know, at the end there, Me and Bowden had a really good run on the bottom. He was pushing me, and I thought we were going to catch up, but with the way the gear is, we were kind of chipping out, so we were kind of stalling out. Kind of noticed whenever people were tandeming and they were going as fast as 205, 208 or whatever, kind of start to stall out just because you couldn't go any faster with the way the gear set and the setup. So I kind of figured that once we got off of 2 and I saw how fast they were going, that it was kind of over. And then Bowden got sidedrafted by the guy that was left out from them, and we just kind of fell back. So that was unfortunate for us. But I mean, that was a really fun race. I'm definitely happy with third. Definitely can't complain. Finished first last year, finished third this year. Try to keep it going for the next one.
I mean, you did an awesome job, and you've gotten a win, which is awesome. I mean, what does it feel to be a winner in the ERA events? What is that feeling like? Because not that many people have gotten wins here, right? We've had, plenty of different ones, but still, it's not like we've had hundreds because we've only been around for the last few years. But what does it feel like to be in that top echelon, somebody who's actually won one of these events?
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy feeling because, like I said, I've done like 6,000 races on this service. I mean, I've been on here for 15 plus years, and there's very few that offer the opportunities that this kind of race does and this kind of series does. And even the Pro Series level and the Coke Series, you're not making the same money in the single race like this. So in a lot of ways, when I won last year, even more in my Coke Series, when like this kind of meant the most to me out of any race that I've won, just because, I mean, the money aspect is, it get pretty big when you're introducing like esports stuff into this game, and what you can say you've won and stuff, and this race is about as prestigious as it gets. So the fact that I won that race last year, I still can't believe it. It was a really crazy time, and just happy that I ran well in this one as well.
Man, that means so much to all of us here at eRacing Association to hear that from you. And thank you so much for that praise. And that's what we do. We want to make sure that we're putting on a really fun event with great drivers driving in it. Event that everybody feels like they have an opportunity to win, not events that they feel like, hey, only one person's got a shot. These are events that anybody can win, as you saw in this race, and as you've seen yourself, competing in this event and other events. So thank you so much for competing in our events and continuing to show everybody in the world that, hey, these events are the real deal. There's real cash. There's real stuff on the line. People are having a great time doing it, no matter where they finish. So thank you so much for being a part of it. You got anybody that you want to thank after this race?
Yeah, I mean, mainly just the guys I was working with, the guys up front there, Malik, Bowden, Vicente, just everybody that was up front that was trying to push forward an effort for us to win. And then, of course, you guys for, again, putting on the race. Definitely love being here and plan to be here for the next one.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
We'll bring in one more driver before the night is done, and that's going to be Garrett Maines, who comes home in fourth position tonight. Garrett, congratulations. I know it's not the big money payday you were hoping for, but could have been a lot worse. You're going to walk away with a pair of Goodyear shoes, and you were 11th, 2 laps to go. Just to get into the conversation, to walk us through that green-white checker.
Honestly, I didn't expect to even be in contention there. I mean, I was in that wreck with 7 to go. So definitely, just happy to be in position there to be able to make something happen. I kind of thought, I saw Kevin get hung out on the backstretch. I was about to push him, and I thought we were going to have a really good shot at getting maybe 4th and 5th, or maybe even 3rd and 4th if we got hooked up right. I'm not really sure what Colin was doing there, I'll be honest. But it is what it is. We thankfully avoided that catastrophe and ended up finishing 4th. So there's a lot going on there. It was quite the finish. Shout out to Cody for getting that done. I feel like the leader coming off of turn 4 is a sitting duck every time. So he did what he needed to do to get it done. But I'll take it. I mean, to come back from, I was like 30 something coming to that last 10 laps. So it's a good night at the end of the day.
Could be worse, that's for sure. Not only was he leading coming out of 4, leading at the white flag lap too, whole trip around. I mentioned won a couple of these in the past. That includes this very race back in 2022, and you've been on the service for some time. You know what you're doing. What has changed with these current next-gen cars compared to when you won that SpringBowl back in 22?
Well, I'll be honest with you. It went much like this race. I led, I believe, probably the most laps. I know I did tonight, but I was up front in that race as well. We were in control of that race for a lot of it. And then we got wrecked with 2 to go. And I came back with the help of, I believe it was Michael Sturgill, if I'm not mistaken, with 2 to go. From the back, dead last on the lead lap to absolutely scam in 2022. I feel like it's a very similar package. If anything, the side draft has turned down since then, which actually makes it a little bit more racy and a lot less control, which is why, like, you know, when you saw us leading there at the beginning of the race and like making these aggressive side drafts, if you didn't, the bottom was so strong that it was extremely hard to like maintain the top lane. So I think that's probably one of the biggest changes is, you know, it's not as easy to control anymore. Having 3 teammates used to be like a meta. Now it's required that all 3 teammates are like extremely knowledgeable of the package to be able to like actually hold up somebody of equal skill.
It was a fun one, and I know we're likely to see you not only in this Spring Bowl again going forward, but in the other ERA events as well, Garrett. So thanks for participating and putting on a show. Congrats on a good result, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I got to give a huge shout out to MCU Body, Linux, Left Court Brothers, Ryko Performance for all their support in the Coke Series. They've had phenomenal setups the entire off season, all last year, and I'm really excited to get another shot at it this year with the clean slate and see if we can get a good finish at Vegas. And also another shout out to FGRXL for all their support as well.
Appreciate the time, Garrett. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
So that is your 4th place finisher from this one. And again, it is not all sour grapes for the rest of your top finishers, because the rest of that $5,000 purse that does not go to the champ gets distributed among some of the top finishers. And of course, they get that pair of shoes, the Goodyear Sim Racing shoes, courtesy of Goodyear Footwear. And we look forward now already to what is next to come on the calendar. And I kind of teased it there a little bit talking with Garrett Maines, Jesse, but when the Spring Bowl has come and gone, we look forward to what is coming up next, and that's going to be the Summer Bowl as we head into May.
Yep, it's definitely going to be the Summer Bowl heading into May, and it's maybe it's a road course, maybe it's a short track. Who knows? Maybe we do a figure 8. I don't know. But it's going to be exciting.
Any of them.
It'll be exciting, but what we do know is there's going to be cash prizes. People can win real money, and they'll have these amazing pairs of Goodyear footwear shoes for the top 5. They'll be getting those and being able to walk around with them and also play on their sim with them, because that's our official sim racing shoe now. So yeah, a lot of exciting things to come. We still have 3 more events the rest of this year, a lot of money to give out, and a lot of excitement to come. These drivers are doing great. They continue to elevate their skill, elevate their talent, and the races just continue to get better and better and better, as we saw tonight. So I'm looking forward to a bunch of amazing races still to come this year, and for following years. We're going to continue to grow the eRacing Association, and we're going to continue to put on some amazing esports events so that we can grow the sim racing world and turn it from the Wild Wild West into something that's super serious, but also still super fun.
I was going to make a joke about I would get on track next time to race for the Goodyear shoes for the top 5, and I'll just stick with using the code ERA Omega Cup Flash to get my 35% off on the website. But, you know, Kyle, I think we talked about that celebration, right? That winning shot with Cody Eagles across the line. That does not happen without the money, the prizes on the line. And it's not to say that these guys don't care anytime they strap into a virtual race like this, but that's the difference between these races and anything else on the service.
It just goes to show how important this race is and how serious they take it. Yes, it's a heck of a lot of fun, but the elation that we saw from winning this race, just it goes to show you how important and how much time and effort these people put into doing this. I mean, he went on for a good 2.5, 3 minutes of just, you know, it's a heartfelt thing, and that's what, if you out there get a chance to be a part of this, go sign up, come on out, qualify in, run with these people. Even if you don't have the experience, you can get your chance to get into this if you qualify in, and you can feel that exact same feeling that our winner felt today.
And you don't have to wait too long because we're going to do it all again in 3 months like we do all year long. But until then, that is it for us here tonight from Daytona. On behalf of everybody who goes into making these events possible, for Jesse and his entire team at the eRacing Association, for everybody at iRacing and Podium Esports, and of course for your broadcast team tonight. For our producer downstairs, Ryan Bauer, for Kyle Wisner, Jesse Wuji, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to say thanks for tuning in, and congratulations to Cody Neagles, who is a first-time Omega Cup winner as he takes home this Spring Bowl championship. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time for the ERA Omega Cup Summer Bowl. Until then, good night from Daytona.